Imagine walking into a billion-dollar boardroom only to be treated like you don't belong, just because of the color of your skin or the role someone thinks you play. That's exactly what happened when a black woman extended her hand, and the billionaire CEO sneered, "I don't shake hands with staff." But what he didn't know was that this woman held the fate of his entire empire in her hands. What happened next shocked the room, rewrote corporate power, and left the arrogant billionaire begging for forgiveness. Don't miss this jaw-dropping story. Hit that subscribe button if you believe dignity is more powerful than a title. And let's dive into one of the most savage corporate turnarounds you'll ever hear. It was the kind of boardroom that smelled of entitlement, thick mahogany, furniture, billion-dollar oil paintings, leather seats warmed only for men in power suits who thought they ran the world. But this morning, the atmosphere was about to change forever. The room was buzzing with anticipation. Archer Sterling, the billionaire, CEO of Luxton Ventures, a global tech conglomerate, was preparing for a critical meeting that could make or break his company's survival through the next fiscal year. Seated around him were 12 other high-level executives, all white, all men, each holding documents that outlined a desperate need for funding. $2 billion, in fact, to keep the upcoming AI vertical from collapsing under pressure. The door opened sharply. In walked a woman dressed in a sleek navy pantsuit, skin a rich obsidian tone glowing under the overhead lights, her gaze steady, her posture elegant but firm. Her name was Zaraya Freeman. Most in the room didn't recognize her, and the few that did smirked quietly, whispering she must be some newly hired analyst or, worse, part of the catering staff. Archer stood, adjusted his Rolex, and extended a hand to the Japanese investor beside him. But when Zaraya extended hers in professionalism and grace, Archer looked down with the condescension only the ultra-rich can master and scoffed. "I don't shake hands with staff." A few chuckles echoed around the room until Zaraya smiled. Without flinching, she pulled out her chair at the head of the table. "That's okay," she said with a tone so calm it sliced the air. "You'll be shaking with regret in a moment." The room fell silent. She placed her Louis Vuitton folder on the table, opened it, and revealed a signed letter from K3 Capital Group, the private equity titan known for its cutthroat business moves and limitless capital. Zaraya was the lead investor for their new social impact tech fund, and she had the authority to pull or push a $2 billion investment with a single call. Faces turned pale, and jaws dropped as she revealed the internal due diligence report she'd commissioned, a deep dive into Luxton Ventures' toxic culture, gender discrimination lawsuits, suppressed whistleblower claims, and most damning, a pattern of dismissing minority employees in leadership tracks. "You didn't think we'd look under the hood?" she asked softly, flipping pages while the executives scrambled to understand what was happening. Archer's smirk vanished. "This is a misunderstanding," he stammered. "You're making a mistake." But Zaraya didn't blink. "The mistake," she said, "was assuming power only looks like you opened in a flashback. 10 years earlier, when Zaraya was working as a junior data engineer at a startup swallowed by Luxton. She remembered Archer even then charming but smug, calling her kiddo during meetings and stealing credit for her patent algorithm that would later become the foundation for Luxton's facial recognition tech, netting them $1 billion government contract. But Zaraya had kept receipts. Every email, every draft, every source code snippet. After being pushed out quietly without cause, she went back to school, earned her MBA at Stanford, and began building a network of power not in the spotlight, but in shadows with powerful backers who saw value in lifting those like her who had been silenced. The whispers that once mocked her slowly shifted into murmurs of awe in financial circles. Zaraya Freeman, the black woman with a mind like Buffett and a heart hardened by betrayal, had become one of the most feared strategic investors in the industry, and now, the boardroom that once dismissed her would be her stage of reckoning. Her rise was not accidental. It was engineered. And now it was time to collect Dot back in the present. Opened with Archer trying to flip the narrative. "We had no idea of your history with us, Miss Freeman," he said, trying to sound humble but failing to hide the desperation in his eyes. "Perhaps we can revisit this with fresh eyes, reset our understanding." But Zariah didn't come to negotiate. She came to clean house. "You see," she said, tapping on her iPad, "I've already informed the other shareholders. A vote of no confidence is coming. Your company will be delisted within 6 months, unless sweeping reforms begin today." The board panicked. Phones buzzed. Lawyers were called. The coup tried to intervene. "This is sabotage," he accused. But then she revealed another document testimony from 6 former Luxton employees, all women of color, all wrongfully terminated, all funded by Zariah's foundation to file joint litigation and class action suits. Sabotage? She repeated, raising her brow. "No, gentlemen, this is accountability." The meeting ended not with applause, but with silence. Zariah walked out, not with anger, but with the poise of a woman who finally returned the power they thought they had stolen. For unfolded like a symphony of justice. News headlines erupted. Billionaire humiliated by BlackWoman investor. $2 billion deal pulled over racism claims. And Zariah Freeman reshapes Wall Street with power move. Luxton stock plummeted 48% in a single day. Archer was forced to resign, but Zariah wasn't done. She used the $2 billion she redirected to fund a new AI initiative rooted in ethical data, inclusive development teams, and minority-owned startup partnerships. She launched the Free Mind Initiative, a think tank and incubator designed to level the playing field in Silicon Valley. Within months, companies funded through her oversight began outperforming traditional portfolios by 40%, drawing investors from across the globe. And the best part? Every handshake she gave now came with respect, not because she demanded it, but because she proved what true leadership looks like. At a tech summit 6 months later, Archer, now disgraced and irrelevant, watched from the crowd as Zariah delivered the keynote in front of world leaders, CEOs, and innovators. When asked what motivated her, she looked out across the auditorium and said, "Sometimes the door they try to close on you is the one you have to kick open. For others, I don't just sit at the table anymore, I fund it."